Good morning, my friends. Today, it's a nice sunny day. Little speckles of clouds in the sky, mostly sunny. Today, I didn't get much sleep last night, so I'm a little bit tired. I think I only got like 6 hours of sleep. Generally, I tend to value my sleep a lot. So when I don't get enough sleep at night, I tend to get um, just groggy in general. Well, most people are, I feel like, if they lose sleep. But for me, it's like, to me, just having a good night's sleep is one of the most important things for me. If I don't have a good night's sleep, I'm pretty irritated. Um, Obviously, there are moments where I have to get up early, and I don't like doing that. But I know a lot of people sacrifice sleep in order to have fun, to like go out with friends or socialize, and I really do not value that at all over my sleep. To me, my sleep is way more important than spending a few more extra hours talking to people. Um, I had a weird dream that I was like an old man in a retirement home, and for some reason at the retirement home, everyone was kind of just out to get me. Like they didn't like me at all. There was like this cult of old people that got together and they sort of conspired against me. And so I ended up having to hide in like a locker or something. And then all of a sudden, a hurricane just came out of nowhere and wiped out the entire building, which is when I woke up. It's kind of an odd dream. It got me thinking a little bit about, living and dying, because it's like, that weird thing where you die in a dream and then you wake up, back in life, and there's like that weird in between moment where you're like struggling to wake up a little bit. It's sort of like, what do you call it? Sleep paralysis, but not, I guess, the same. I've experienced sleep paralysis, I think, once or twice. Not to the extent that people who have that serious issue have, but I've definitely experienced it, and I had it today a little bit. I know from hearing about it that people always sort of have similar experiences of being able to see supernatural phenomenon, being able to see like demons and ghosts. Usually there's like a demon sitting on someone's chest that they actually physically see. um, to me, that's sort of an indication that there is definitely something in like this outside scope of visual attunement that we have. A lot of people, I feel like most people generally believe in ghosts. I feel like the notion that believing in ghosts is a stupid thing is kind of a myth. I think most people in the world actually believe in some kind of supernatural phenomenon. At least from people that I speak to, there's definitely a lot of people who don't believe in it, but I think the number of people who do believe in it is significantly higher than maybe some people would like to think. I just know this because I've definitely had experiences seeing ghosts, everyone in my family, and it's very strange phenomenon that you can't explain in a rational sense, right? It's a very tricky thing for people, especially if you're a scientist or someone who thinks in those terms. They definitely do not want to believe in ghosts because it doesn't make sense in the physical world. If you want to think about ghosts in a scientific standpoint, we have to look at our own human bodies and understand that there is a force that's controlling us, so to speak, right? Not everything is just this sequence of events that everyone likes to portray it as, although maybe it is, but there's always a driving force that begins it all, right? If we want to talk about, like, let's say the Big Bang, for instance, there is that driving force that is pushing life to exist. So that way it's like it has like this sequence of events of chemical reactions and so forth. But I like to think of the human body and how we make conscious decisions, right? We make decisions. We're not just doing everything on autopilot. We obviously know that we actively pursue to do things, and we sometimes get sidetracked and want to do other things. This to me is more than enough evidence to support the notion of a spiritual essence, right? If I pop in a video game, for instance, I have to sit down and take a controller and play the game. I can't just watch it unfold before me. The game has to be played, otherwise I'm stuck on the start screen and nothing will happen. I have to press start. I have to make the conscious decision. And it's the same thing with life. If I want to go through life, there is a part of me that has to make a conscious decision. It's not the body creating this conscious decision that I have to make. It's myself doing it for me, which is a little complicated to, I guess, describe, but that's sort of the way I see it, which I guess is why some people believe that we live in a computer simulation, which I personally don't believe in. It just doesn't seem like a realistic thing for me, at least. But it definitely is possible, but I don't think it's a rational thing to believe in a simulation. But for ghosts, I definitely do believe, and I think that not only can we be possessed by one spirit, but our spirit can be compelled by other different spirits, and like that's the case with sleep paralysis, which I spoke of. We have instances where people have actual, repetitive symptoms of the same thing that they definitely like experience. And this is, to me, if I want to think about this scientifically, this isn't something that we can just throw out and disregard as being some anomaly. This is a very real thing, that when people have sleep paralysis, they generally see demons, which is very strange. It's very bizarre that this is like a repetitive action, regardless of people's faith or religion or scientific beliefs. So, going with that, I think there is a notion of spirits and ghosts that exist in the world, and I think that there is no reason to not believe in it. I know from when I was a kid, my parents would tell me that I've seen like ghosts, and there were cases that I've heard of where, this is like the school my sister went to. She went to a school in Santa Fe, and there was a dormitory that had a floor closed off or something like that, and the reason why it was closed off was because, okay, like if we go back to 1940s, or I think it was 1940s, it might have been a different war anyway. It used to be a war veteran hospital. People used to go there. People died very brutal deaths. Obviously, you have like bullet wounds and whatnot, and you go there and then you eventually die. And there was a point in time where students who were living on this specific floor, whatever floor it was used for back then, I'm not entirely sure, definitely nothing good, but anyway, people who lived there, it was like a repetitive thing that happened where people would have group suicides in the dorm. Like people who lived on the floor would come together and commit suicide together. That to me is a very bizarre, also pretty frightening thing too. If you think, I mean, you don't have to think about it, it's pretty spooky. So just those kinds of things that are supernatural just happen in real life around us all the time, and to disregard them is just ignorance on people's part. We need to understand these. We don't want to get into the situation where we're just making shit up to have vague explanations of things. Just come up with different possibilities and try to break it down into a logical assessment, but don't be closed-minded off to the concept of spirits. I think most of the time people are afraid of spirits, they're afraid of ghosts, and that's why they don't want to admit that they are real, which is another strange thing I find with some people. It just doesn't seem like a rational thing to do, in my view. So, anyway, those are my thoughts, and I hope you have a wonderful day.